I have been looking forward to this review for a long time. Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be having a look at this 2021 Renault Duster 1.5 DCi Prestige EDC. EDC meaning it has a dual clutch gearbox. It certainly looks the part. Is there any substance to it though? I would like to take this time to give a massive thank you to the awesome staff at Sterling Renault. They have a humongous range of different vehicles and they are open for business. They are located on Mitchell Street in Hermanus, so be sure to check them out. A link to their website will be in the description box below. If you live in the Western Cape and you have an original car in good condition you would like me to review, please get in touch. There's an email address in the description box below. First things first, this isn't really a Renault. The Duster is actually produced by Romanian company Dacia. Its first generation was unveiled on the 8th of December in 2009 and launched in March 2010. It was based on Renault and Dacia's B0 platform, the same platform that is found on the Dacia Logan, the first generation Dacia or Renault Sandero, and the Renault Captur. It was marketed as an entry-level SUV that represents excellent value. And excellent value it was. Depending on the model, you could either pay very little for very little spec, or you could kit it up quite generously. In 2015, at the same time it received a modest facelift, it was announced that we will be getting our Dusters from Romania and not India like before. The engine stayed the same, but we received a new 7-inch infotainment system from the Clio, cruise control became standard across the entire range, and there were upgrades on some of the materials used. Fabric inserts were also added to the doors, and Expression models gained rear electric windows. Then, in 2017, the Duster finally became available with an automatic transmission. Not only an auto, but a dual clutch setup. In 2018, this second generation was released. Though it is still based on the same platform as the Dacia Logan and first generation Sandero, it received new sheet metal as well as new front and rear ends. I truly like the look of this Duster. From the front, it looks muscular and even premium, especially in this Prestige trim, and the rear light clusters remind me a lot of the Jeep Renegade. It looks really good. Standard across the current range are 17-inch alloy wheels along with roof rails, LED daytime running lights, front fog lights, a 7-inch infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, front and rear electric windows, cruise control, a reversing camera, rear park distance control, and electronic stability control. Very impressive. Does the interior hold up as well? Having recently reviewed the Sandero, I can immediately notice some similarities between its cabin and this Duster's, but for very different reasons. I get strong vintage Jeep vibes from this cabin in all the right ways. It looks simple, yet rugged and purposeful. This huge slab of plastic that makes up most of the passenger's dashboard really adds to the sense of utilitarianism. I particularly like this Duster word printed on it. The general design is definitely boxy. The center control stack goes down at an almost 90-degree angle, the dashboard is almost completely flat, and the center console looks dead straight. It really adds to this cube theme I'm getting off of it. One thing that is very apparent in the Duster is the excellent attention to detail, which is surprising considering this isn't meant to be an upmarket or premium car. Take for instance this lovely chrome surrounds of the air vents and this single metal strip that highlights it when it is closed. Then there is this plastic trim piece next to the gear lever that is designed to mimic brushed aluminium. It does an excellent job of just lifting the cabin a bit and making it feel special. There's dots of chrome everywhere, and this is a prime example of why a little blingage is so important, because it makes it feel upmarket, even if the actual materials aren't the best. Let's dig a bit deeper though, starting with the door panel. Well, it definitely follows the same rugged theme you find in the rest of the cabin. There are tons of straight and solid lines and a very chunky door grab handle. Don't be fooled though, because there are some very luxurious touches on this door panel as well, like brushed aluminium door handle, a nice thin chrome strip that accents the door's grab handle, and a leather-wrapped, decently padded door armrest. Now, the window switches have the same quirks you find in the Sandero, in that the driver's window is one touch and feels very premium, but the remaining switches feel completely different and feels as though they belong on a different car. The doors don't feel particularly heavy either. Thankfully, you do get very decently sized door pockets. Now moving to the steering wheel. I must be honest, I thoroughly like the design of it. It looks almost identical to that of the Sandero's, but in this prestige trim at least, its rim is wrapped in leather and you get steering mounted controls for the standard fit cruise control as well as trip information. The only slight gripe I have is that the ergonomics of the cruise control are a bit off. There are two blank switches on the steering wheel, yet in order to turn on the cruise control, you have to flip a switch on the center console. That is quite odd. The buttons also feel just a little bit plasticky, but this is in keeping with the Duster's rugged demeanor. My favorite part of the steering wheel, however, has to be the trim. Real metal lines its three spokes, and the Renault logo is surrounded by trendy piano black plastics. It looks really upmarket. The same can be said for the stalks, because they provide amazing dampening and truly elevates the driving experience of the Duster. You even get a third stalk that controls the infotainment system and phone calls. Now, this setup was present in almost every French car of the last 2 decades, and even by today's standards, I think it is a really good idea. Last but not least, the steering wheel is adjustable not only for rake, but reach as well, making it much easier to find a comfortable driving position. This steering wheel, really impressive. The dials are very easy to read thanks to white, big digits on a black background. Like most Renaults though, the speedometer has uneven numbers, 10, 30, 50, 70, which can take some getting used to because our speed limits are usually 120, 80, 60. Thankfully, after a while you will know where 120 lies. One neat touch is that each dial is surrounded by a thin strip of chrome. It adds some sophistication to the simplicity. In between the two dials, you will find a monocolor LCD driver's information display. It thoroughly reminds me of the same display you find in Discovery 4s, and I completely prefer this display to black out LCD displays you find in some other cars. This system communicates a full trip computer, digital fuel gauge, digital water temperature gauge, vehicle systems check, as well as service intervals, and it's controlled via buttons on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. The infotainment system might look a little bit lost in its massive black plastic surrounds, but it's quite an impressive unit. Its graphics is crisp and it's very responsive to my touch. As standard, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, along with a USB input, auxiliary port, and Bluetooth audio. You even get physical buttons for the volume. I just wish that those buttons were replaced with a single dial, because it's much easier to turn a dial to change the volume than to press a button up and down. Moving to some of the switchgear. I love toggle switches, and I am thoroughly happy to see so many toggle switches in the Duster. The only two gripes I have is that the hazards button isn't a different shape or size to the rest, meaning that you have to take your eyes off the road to make sure you hit the right button. Also, they are a bit on the small side. Thankfully, they provide good dampening and they really suit this car's rugged nature. A while back I reviewed the Nissan Magnite and there's something quite suspicious about the Duster's climate control panel. It looks quite familiar. That's because it is exactly the same unit. This is because Renault and Nissan has an alliance and they have part sharing going on most of their models. Thankfully, this particular unit is a gem. It is really easy to understand and it matches the chrome lining of the air vents perfectly. I particularly like the climate information being displayed within the dials themselves. Very premium. The seats look rugged, premium and interesting all at the same time. It's trimmed in a mixture of genuine perforated and unperforated leather and accented by white top stitch. Now this leather is an option, but you need not worry because the standard cloth trim is just as interesting. There is one very neat touch though, this leather flap that hides the seat mechanisms from view. It's small details like this that truly elevates the experience of owning a car. They put some real thought into it. The driver's seat is adjustable for height and the seat backs are controlled using a lever, not a dial that you have to turn to make sure you have the right position. This is so much quicker and more user-friendly. Now for the practical side of things. When it comes to storage, the Duster performs surprisingly well. You get a big, if rather narrow, undampened glove box, a rubberized tray area in between the two passenger air vents, another tray area in front of the gear lever with a shallow integrated cup holder, which is quite useless because the climate controls are in the way, two much more acceptably sized cup holders, and this small tray next to the handbrake. Now this is the 4x2 version, which means we don't get 4x4 controls, but instead of that, you have this adorable little ketchup holder, I presume, and the aforementioned huge door pockets. Not bad at all. People in the back won't feel too shortchanged either. There is a decent amount of knee and headroom and the seats are comfortable, yet they provide good under thigh support as well. Storage is okay. You get a decently sized door pocket, storage pockets behind each front seat, and a coin compartment that is integrated into the door's grab handle. No padded armrest though, or air vents, or armrest, or even cup holders. So a couple of missed opportunities there. The boot is a very impressive size of 445 litres. Not only do you get the space though, you also get 2 tethering hooks, 2 grocery hooks, and even a 12-volt socket. The second row seats fold flat in a 60-40 split as well, but this does result in quite a ridge that hinders through loading. Renault tried to lessen this ridge by extending the boot floor fabric, and it works to an extent. They tried the same solution with the boot lip, but thankfully the lip isn't too high and the boot itself is quite low to the ground. It's quite a practical car for the price. This boxy and angular design from the outside has a definite advantage when you sit in it. Excellent all-round visibility. Combine that with light controls, front and rear parking sensors with reversing camera, as well as a tight turning circle, and you have a car that is an absolute joy to pilot around town, especially with this dual clutch automatic transmission. The best part, however, has to be this engine. The 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel engine is an absolute gem. It's smooth and refined, yet provides enough shove to do some lane weaving should the situation call for it. The only slight criticism I have is the ride, as it is a bit on the firm side. Out on the twisties, and the Duster, well, it will get you around a corner, and that's all. It's not like there's too much body roll, not at all. It's just that the steering feels a tad too light and lifeless. It never feels unsafe, but you have to respect its humble limitations. Out on the open road though is where this engine really comes into its own. It remains soft and pliant, yet provides a relative amount of punch. The gearbox does an excellent job of selecting the correct gear when you want to overtake, and the seats are surprisingly comfortable. Road noise and tyre roar is rather noticeable though. I wouldn't call it of unacceptable levels, but it is present, and it does hamper this car's long distance cruising ability by some degree. To sweeten the pot, this generation of Duster is very reliable, with owners being more satisfied with its performance than a Nissan Qashqai and Peugeot 2008. As with all diesel engines, make sure that there isn't any warning lights for the diesel particulate filter, as it could get clogged. This is usually because a diesel car hasn't been out on the open road for a while. Diesel cars don't like to be used as town runabouts. Other than that though, very reliable indeed. When it comes to the Duster's rivals, you have a good amount of choice, with each competitor offering something unique. There is the Hyundai Creta. It is quite expensive, but offers a 7-year warranty and a quieter cabin. Then there is the Volkswagen, very well priced and amazing interior, but the dealer network is still a work in progress. You also have a choice of the Creta's cousin, the Seltos. Beautiful exterior, decent interior, but road and wind noise can be a little bit intrusive. Looking for something smaller? Well, there is a litter of smaller SUVs like the T-Cross and the Hyundai Venue. You even have Renault's own little Kiger. As with all buying decisions though, test drive all of them. There is something for everyone out there. Considering how well the previous generation Duster sold and the state of that model's interior, this newer model deserves your attention, and it deserves to sell well. Sure, it isn't quite as affordable as it once was, but you aren't purchasing an entry-level car anymore. Forgive quite a loud cabin at speed, and you will be rewarded with a fantastic engine, excellent fuel economy, good reliability, and an honest, true and fun little car. Well done, Renault. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give it a thumbs up, as it makes the world of difference to my channel. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe and get notified of upcoming videos. I have quite a few lined up for you guys, so stay tuned. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.